Today on Man Overboard, we're joined by Dave, Blue Van Man. Thank you so much for joining. It's massively appreciated. I thought we'd jump straight into things. I know we spoke a little bit in the past, and recently you've moved, well, not so recently, but pretty recently you've moved into being a full-time YouTuber. I just wondered how you were finding that so far. Is it what you expected? Are you still enjoying everything as much?
Yeah, I'm a full-time YouTuber, but we have actually got something else that's paying the bills as well. We had something lined up to also bring an income in, and one day that might come out about what it is. But yeah, YouTube full time, it's great. I mean, I'm no longer working on a Sunday morning, a Saturday morning. I'm no longer doing 12-hour shifts. It's great, you know, and my body seems to have gone.
Yeah, much more relaxation, I'd imagine, when you're doing that instead of working on a Saturday. I can't imagine much worse, to be fair. Yeah. So have you got any upcoming projects, any YouTube videos you're working on, any bigger things, or is it just the usual Dave content to look forward to?
I'm actually taking. I bought my daughter a little mini car, and I've taken the roof out of that because the linings come away. So I'm actually doing that at the moment, making that into a video. No, I think it's just me plodding along. I mean, if you've watched my videos, I've gone a little bit more political kind of thing. I just couldn't keep eating the amount of calories and the rubbish food that I was doing. And, you know, because you eat that much, it's not healthy for you, is it? So I've tried to go a little bit of a different way. People like it or they don't like it. It's, you know.
So would you say that it's something that you miss now that you've moved away from it being healthy, or is it something that you feel has made a positive change on your life in that way?
What, not eating the food too much?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Moving away from that kind of content.
To be honest, this is the thing that winds me up a little bit. I mean, I don't know. Well, I do get wound up. Some of it's an act as well. But I always got called a food reviewing channel, and I'm not a food reviewer. Yes, I review food, but I review life. I feel, you know, my first video was Harry's Razors, and then I think my second one I was cleaning the conservatory roof. I just accidentally fell into food as such. And ate quite a lot of it, but
yeah, I mean, food's quite a good one, isn't it? Because a lot of people love to hear about the takeaways and stuff.
Yeah, the takeaways were okay, but I don't know. I think I've got a little bit more to offer than just eating food. So.
Oh, no, I completely agree, mate. It's good to diversify the content no matter what. In that way, then whenever you do any like extra food videos on top of stuff, people will be excited about that, and it'll mean there's more excitement around your other videos as well. I also know that you seem to have built quite a few friends through YouTube. I know like Scott and Wanda, you do a lot of videos with them. I just wondered, I asked Robbie the same thing, but what do you think about the YouTube community as a whole? I know your comment section is usually really positive, a lot of support.
YouTube, I mean, I've just been watching your video with Robbie. I've been trying to cram it in by doing other things as well. So I put my earpods in and I'm walking around listening to you. Like, Robbie has the thing with Robbie is Robbie's a very nice man, and
yeah,
I would absolutely find anybody who, you know, I don't think you can find anybody who hates Robbie or dislikes Robbie or whatever he does. Robbie's a very, very nice man. I'm a little bit more opinionated. I do like to voice my opinions, and I'll be honest with you, the YouTube world, the YouTube community, if you don't fit in certain areas, it's quite toxic. I've had problems in the past with YouTubers who I've done things with, and now I don't want to do anything with. And it's, you know, it's very backbiting or backstabbing or whatever in the background. You know, it's not all, YouTube is not all wonderful. People see you doing a video and all that. It's not that nice, to be fair. And sometimes I actually regret getting into YouTube. So.
Oh really? Right. I'm surprised by that. I know there's a lot of trolls online and a lot of hate that does fly around from time to time as well. of course, that's one of the negative sides of it.
And I think something that you find is that, like you're saying, now that you've moved into your more, if you start to give your opinion on certain topics, you will then you're going to find the people that then don't agree with you, along with the people that do. But you're going to get a lot of people that also then start to go, hang on a minute, I don't quite agree with what this man's saying.
Yeah, I think the thing is, when I do these, because I used to call them a rant, because I did used to go off on one, and when I look back at them, I'm quite embarrassed by. Well, not embarrassed, but I can think to myself, oh, Dave, you've lost it there. You look like a raving lunatic. So now I've decided to calm them down and call them a let's discuss, because my idea is that people watch the video and then they like go away and think about what I've said and mull it around in the heads and think, yeah, I agree with him on that, but I don't agree with him on that. Because when I do one of these let's discuss videos, I actually have an argument with myself. I'll try and look at it from all points of view, and that's all I'm aiming for on these videos. Is that I don't want people to believe everything that the government and the media tell us.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair enough. It's better for it to be an open debate and for people to form their own opinions on things, for sure.
Yeah, it is, and that's all I want to do. I don't want to fall out with people. I don't want to argue with people. I just want people to think. I've been watching Russell Brand, and he obviously is far more intellectual than me. He uses far bigger words than I ever do in a camp, but he does the same, and it's great to see. I watch quite a lot of these YouTubers now who give a different opinion, who make people think. So.
No, yeah, that's completely fair. Yeah, I also know that we kind of spoke before this, and I know you've been through some struggles yourself in the past with just life in general, debt and stuff. Going through a hard time there. I wondered if you had any advice to anyone, or if you wanted to just kind of recap that story. I know a lot of people probably going through something like that, or that may go through something like that in the future, would probably find a bit of advice on that really helpful.
What, my 35 grand in debt?
Yeah, maybe just give a little bit of a backstory for anyone that doesn't know, for anyone that's maybe not seen the videos.
Well, what happened was, back in the day, I inherited a bit of money. Not a lot of money, but enough money for me to have been sensible with, that I wasn't. And I spent it, and it was like, imagine a bowl of sugar, and every time you use a spoonful of sugar, it's disappearing. Mm-hmm. And I spent quite a lot of money. I bought a Ford Explorer, so that was economical, weren't it? A 4 litre bloody...
Especially with the gas prices these days.
Yeah, but this was back in the day when you could afford it. Anyway, and basically I just spent all my money. Then I got some credit cards, I run some debts up, and I ended up like 35 grand in debt. And the wife didn't know about it. In fact, to be fair, I think when you actually look back at it, it was probably more than that. And I was trying to keep it away from the wife. I was trying to keep the family afloat. I was trying to take us on holidays. I was trying to live the normal life still without the hassle of telling my wife, because I basically let them down. I let my family down. I got us into debt. It was just one of them things where I couldn't get out of it. Then I was listening to Radio 5, and they did this thing where people are in debt, and there's a company called the CCCS, and you phone them up, and they basically manage the debt for you. You write down who you owe money to, and then you tell them how much you earn a month. They then take a percentage out of that wage to pay everybody off, and then they leave you enough to live on and to tax your car, to insure your car. They also make sure that you save some in case of repairs for your car and stuff. Mm-hmm. And if anybody has got debt and they're really, really struggling and they don't know which way to turn, and they are actually thinking of dropping out of a loft, phone the CCCS. They will help you no end. Because what happens is, these companies that are chasing you for money are no longer allowed to chase you for money. They have to go through the CCCS. And it was a godsend. And I don't even believe in God. So,
I imagine it's a great weight lifted off your shoulder once you stop receiving all the calls and, the letters through the door, and you end up with all the texts.
The letters were coming through the door, and I was fortunate that I was the only one opening the letters. And anyway, I'd been made redundant, and my wife thought that I'd got a job interview. So she opened the letter because she was all excited and found out that I was like 35 grand in debt. So,
yeah, I can imagine the argument that day wasn't very good, but
yeah, there was an argument as such because I just ran away. I went and sat in the co-op car park for 2 hours, wondering what I was going to do.
right.
But anyway, the wife was there. She supported me. She wanted to know everything that had gone off. She thought I'd either got some kind of drink or drugs or gambling or prostitute problem. None of them. It was just an amount of debt that was built up that I couldn't sustain. I couldn't pay it back, and I was making minimum payments on credit cards, and it just gets to you. And I can understand blokes now who are struggling, who are trying to, they've got these wives, these trophy wives, and June's not a trophy wife. She doesn't want the best. She's a very easygoing girl. She just wants, things to be paid for. But I'm sure these blokes out there who's got women who want the latest dresses, the latest this, the latest that. They go out with their friends, they go out and have meals. And blokes are struggling to keep up. They're working all the hours God sends. They want to go on holidays and that, and they can't do it. And they just feel, it does make you feel like you've let your family down. But I will also say I've never struggled with mental health. Although I felt like I let the family down, I've never been to the stage where I've thought that's it or anything like that.
Well, that's one positive then. And obviously it's amazing that you've made it through that period of life as well. But I do know what you mean, especially like maybe with men in general, the image that's portrayed that people could easily start to build up debt and think that they have to be spending all that money and to support their family or to support other types of lifestyles. And then it can quickly get on top of you.
Well, this is the problem. The thing is, it's like nowadays, there's so much marketing to make you spend money to buy the latest phone, to buy the latest tablet, to buy the latest car, to buy the latest watch. It's just ridiculous. And the media and the advertising and everything has got a large part to say on this. But then what will happen is when something goes wrong, the media are all there saying, oh, well, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. Then the next day, it's buy this, it's buy that. There's no common ground. There's no common sense of anything. It's just...
Yeah, I mean, I think regulations are starting to be made around like advertising and what can be advertised, how often and to who and stuff. But I agree, it's a bit of a rogue territory at the minute, especially online. Like, of course, there's the older methods of like TV and flyers and radio and stuff. But I feel like online marketing is probably one of the biggest ones. And that's what I work in.
With it being so targeted these days as well, it feels like it's almost they're advertising directly to you as opposed to a broad advert on a television program. You're now getting adverts that are directed to what you've been looking at and what you've been searching for, at which point you go, oh, actually, no, that, I should buy one of those. And then you're down the rabbit hole then.
Yeah, I mean, the company that you work for, I think your advertising's bang on because it's not in your face all the while. You update and you let people know when there's something new coming out, but your company doesn't ram it down your throat.
True. You
have got quite a good advertising situation with your company, but you're right. It's just everything's got to be had today. Back in the 80s, it wasn't that hard. It wasn't. Obviously, there weren't so many phones. There weren't so many luxuries to have. But I don't know. It's one of them things.
I know what you mean. I completely agree.
It's regulated.
Yeah, I think we should switch up to a little bit of a lighter topic anyway. This is a question that I ask everyone that comes on the podcast, and it's for your dream festival. So pretty much just like 3 headliners. If you could have a dream festival that can be alive or dead, and you can have 3 people to headline, let's say on 3 days, who would you pick?
Well, In Excess. I've seen In Excess about 8 times. I actually got the honour of meeting the band. They did a secret gig in London once with the BBC. And they had 200 tickets, and me and my mate, Rob Burton, God bless him, he's no longer with us because he had pressure, and but me and him went down. We actually waited outside the studios where they recorded the secret gig, and we met Michael Hutchins. It was the same morning when Michael Hutchins met Paulie Yates on the Big Breakfast on that bed and that special day. So I'd have In Excess. I would then have Oasis. I went to see them at Sheffield, late 90s, I think, with my mate Woofy. We had a great night there. And then I think I'd probably go with Blur or something like that.
Ooh, yeah, good choice.
They, you know, or I tell you what, probably actually Wham. I know that sounds corny, but probably Wham.
Fair enough. Yeah, a lot of hits.
You've got a few different vibes there. I just want to say as well, I'm really jealous of the fact that you got to see Oasis. Like since I've been going to gigs, they've not even been together anymore. I've seen Liam Gallagher before when he headlined Leeds Fest, not this year in like 2015. But if Oasis got back together, I'd for sure want to be there.
Do you imagine? Can you imagine? Let's face it, they'll get back together again one day. They're gonna.
You would think so.
And they imagine they'll film Ned with that about 8 nights in a row.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, like the amount of money that they'd bring in from doing that, they'd kind of be silly not to do it. Even if they hate each other, they should just do it for a week and they'd make millions.
And then never speak to each other again.
Have one of those perspex screens up against them, not for the COVID, but for the just keep them away from each other.
To stop them scrapping.
Yeah, that would be quite funny. But no, you got some class choices there. It would be quite funny to see Oasis and Blur headline the same festival. I'd love that. Yeah, I really like Gorillaz as well.
Would you say when you met in excess and you spoke to them and did you have a little interaction with them and so on and so forth? Did you find that they were how you expected them to be in person?
Yeah, they were drugged up.
Right,
they were spaced out. They were gone.
Completely away with it.
I gave Gary Beers. He tried to sign me autograph with the pen upside down. My went, "You thick twat, you've got it upside down." It was brilliant.
Amazing.
So yeah, it was just how rock and roll stars should be. So
no, that's class. Yeah, that's kind of exactly what you'd expect, and it's a great memory as well. Yeah, I know you also used to be. I'm not sure if you are anymore, but I know you used to be quite a big fan of the WWE and wrestling in general. Actually, I thought we could throw it back to maybe some of your favorite old school wrestlers, like like the Stone Cold era, the Rock era. I'm guessing that because I used to be a massive wrestling fan. For a bit of background, like when I was younger, I used to have like a Facebook page about wrestling and stuff. So yeah, it'd be really interesting to hear who some of your favorite wrestlers are.
Well, to be fair, you mentioned it. I honestly, I can't see. It's Stone Cold. Stone Cold is most of my passwords have got 316 in them. Most of the things I ever do has got 316 in it because the guy was just, even when he was a heel, he was good. Even when he was a face, he was good. I've actually had some of his beer because I did work with you, didn't I? And I got some sent over from America, and it was a bit citrusy.
Right.
But
yeah, Dave and citrus don't mix well.
I'd have drank it. So yeah, Stone Cold was just. It's the fact that he'd go into Vince McMahon and do what a working class bloke would do to his boss. He just gave that vibe of, I want to hit you over the head with a bedpan.
Yeah, the classic. Yes, yeah, of course. Yeah,
I feel like back then as well, wrestling was very different in the sense of now there's obviously no secrecy about it when someone's returning. Everyone knows how set up and scripted it is. I know everyone knew that it was scripted back then, but I felt like wrestling probably seemed a lot more real and a lot more realistic back in like the Stone Cold era.
They used to do a lot of keeping the wrestlers apart from each other. Even when they were fighting, they'd keep the wrestlers on separate floors of hotels if they were arguing with, and like if that's what the drama that they were putting on was, then the public would also think the same thing. And I think they've lost a lot of that these days.
Yeah,
they have.
Have you seen that? I was watching TikTok the other day, and Jerry the King Lawler had a fight with, is it Jonathan Kofiman or something like that?
Right, yeah, I think he's one of the, he's not one of the, he's one of the ring people or something, one of the ring announcers.
I think he's an actual actor. I think just a build-up. And I think he was on something like the David Letterman show. And I think the story goes is that Jerry the King apparently hurt his neck, but it was, they built up real hatred, and they didn't realise that the public thought, oh God, this is real. But they didn't. They were the only two actually in on it. And apparently this Jonathan or John Kofiman or whatever his name, some American actor, he said that his sons hated Jerry the King Lawler because they thought he actually hurt his neck, and he didn't. It was just all an act.
Oh,
wow.
But look it up. Jerry Lawler and this Jonathan or John Kofiman or somebody, some actor in America.
Right, I'll have a look into it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I remember when I was like majorly into wrestling, Jerry the King Lawler had a heart attack like live on Raw, and then like he managed, because it was obviously there's so many medical people there. He luckily survived, but I think that's like one of those situations, you know, like when someone has a heart attack at a football match. In a way, there's probably not a better place you could have one because you're already surrounded by like ambulances and medical professionals.
Yeah, because Dolph Lundgren did he do the elbow drop on him something like 10 times in a row, and he put his heart out to rhythm?
I'm not. No, I think I don't. Yeah, it might have been something that was like underlying, but I think when he actually had the heart attack, it was like when he was on the announcement team. It wasn't.
Yeah, because what he used to do, he used to come out, do the announcement, then he'd go and wrestle, didn't he?
Yeah.
They were having some heat with Dolph Lundgren, and he had a match against Dolph Lundgren in the tag team. Because I remember watching it, because like the commentary went all silent, and I think Dolph Lundgren used to do this thing where he used to hit you on the chest, elbow your chest, get up, do you again, and it was like his little signature move, and I don't think he's ever done it since.
Right.
And I think Jerry the King went back to the announcement booth and had a heart attack because he sent his heart out to irregular, sent his heart wrong.
Yeah, that'd be bad if that's the case. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what was happening prior to him having it, but yeah. Did you manage to see Logan Paul's match at WrestleMania by any chance?
Yeah, I've seen bits of it. I thought he did quite well, to be fair.
Yeah, I thought he was actually really good. Like I was a little bit worried about it, but out of the celebrities that have matches at WrestleMania, I think he was one of the better ones.
Yeah, I think he'd actually got a potential to be a wrestler.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think he's in so many different fields now. I'm not sure he ever will, but yeah, I think he could if he wanted to. Like, I don't know how much money they'd have to pay him for it to be more than he's already earning.
Definitely.
Is the problem.
Yeah, that's the issue.
I'd pay him more than Goldberg, I know that.
Oh yeah, he may as well retire now. What do you think about the current state of WWE in general, though? The more like PG era stuff. Do you ever watch it still? Do you keep up with it a little bit, or?
I don't watch it, to be fair, because I'll do you know what? By the time you pay for Sky, BT, and anything else that you want to watch, you're paying out a small fortune. And I've stopped watching BT Sports because I'm just refusing to pay for stuff now. It's like they've got you by your nuts, and they're just squeezing everything out of you that they can. So I catch up on it on TikTok and YouTube, and I think the WWE, I don't know what it is with Vince. He just seems to get rid of anybody that don't fit his criteria, and I do actually think he's killing wrestling in the WWE. So.
Yeah, I think it's a weird one with wrestling because I thought the same thing for a little while, but then last year the wrestling industry made more money than it's ever made in history, and that was without a lot of touring, without a lot of the live shows where they make a lot of the money. So at the same time, I think it's getting worse, but maybe it's just because like I'm not a fan of the wrestlers that are there now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the wrestlers that are now maybe potentially bigger to the younger audience that may be watching them than the ones that back in the day.
Yeah, that's
But then again, also everything is going up in price, so maybe their increase of earning money is just everything else being inflated to ridiculous prices as well.
I think they signed a massive sponsorship deal, though, didn't they, the WWE? I think they signed it just before COVID and that. And I think that's why it made them look so good. I think it's going to be interesting to see what the profits and everything will be, you know, in the future, because I don't know, wrestling's disappointing. There's no characters in it anymore to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't spend as long building the characters up. I know that they're doing the first pay-per-view in the UK for 30 years as well in September. And I actually looked at getting tickets the other day because I thought, I've been over to America before to watch it. I've been to WrestleMania a few years ago, I think when I was like 14, 15. But I looked at tickets for this one in Cardiff, and for like half decent seats. So imagine you're like on the first tier of the stadium, like not even close to the ring really, and you'd barely be able to see it. They were still like 260 quid each, which is just ridiculous.
See, this is the problem I'm having with wrestling. This is the problem I'm having with football as well, because they're just stupid prices, absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I do feel like it's starting to price out like everyday working people in a lot of aspects. Now, as you said, with Sky and BT, I think I saw a calculation a few weeks ago. If you wanted to watch every like televised Premier League game throughout the season, it'd cost you like 220 quid now, because you need Amazon Prime, you need BT Sports, you need Sky Sports, which are all individually like really expensive for a full year.
Yeah, I mean, I've stopped watching Leicester this year as such because one is because my daughter, who I used to go with, she works on a weekend, and it's hard for her to get the time off. And when Leicester are at home, she's at work. It was a bit how I was when I used to work. But the thing is, it's just getting ridiculous to take your kid down. If you've got two or three kids, and it's like 25 quid a ticket, and then they want drinks, and then they want feeding, and then you've got to park your car, then you've got to travel there. You're looking like £200 a bloody just for 3 hours of entertainment. People can't afford it.
Yeah, completely. I know what you mean. I've got a Leeds season ticket for next year, and I think we're probably going to go down now as well, but it won't make the season ticket any cheaper. Nope. I've already paid for it, so despite us getting relegated, it's still the same cost, which is like 600 quid for me for a championship team is just ridiculous.
Absolutely.
How much is it? How much are the Leicester games, Dave? Out of interest, how much are the Leicester games generally for tickets?
I think, well, like I say, I've not been this year because one, I wasn't prepared to show a certificate that I'd had an injection. So that knocked that on the head. That was my little protest. And then by the time it was coming around, like I say, my daughter got a job, but I think it's about £30, £35 a ticket. So I think it's £32 a ticket. So
right, yeah. I mean, compared to some clubs, like I know Arsenal and Chelsea and stuff charge ridiculous prices. That's not unbelievably expensive, but for most people, that's still like 3 or 4 hours working.
And again, you're saying if you're going to take the whole family unit with you, you're then multiplying £32 by 4 or 5, and at that you come into unmanageable prices. Then at that point, that's maybe a once every 3 month treat, not a once every week down to the football grounds. It's ridiculous.
I think Leicester have put their season ticket up by £20 because they were saying on Twitter. Excuse me. They were saying on Twitter what a great club. I mean, also the chairman's just donated £1 million to the heart unit at the Leicester Royal Infirmary for kids with heart problems. So he's just gave them £1 million. So to be fair, we have got good owners down Leicester. They are second to none. So.
Yeah, I do see a lot of positivity coming out of there, especially since the accident a few years ago. That was awful as well. I can only imagine as a Leicester fan, like that must have been pretty personal in a way if you've been going down to the ground on a regular basis, seeing the owners.
I mean, when it happened, I texted me dad and says, "What the hell's happened?" He goes, "Don't know," because I think they just played West Ham, and it was on the telly, and I was at work that night, and I got back that afternoon. I got back, and all hell broke loose, and yeah, it was shocking. It really was a terrible. No, I think it wasn't just terrible for Leicester City. I think it was terrible for most fans because most fans had got a connection with Leicester the year they won the Premier League. Most supporters wanted Leicester to win, and I think the plucky underdog thing. And I think it hit football quite hard that day. So.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I remember seeing it everywhere, and like it was certainly part of the conversation in my friendship group up in Leeds, and every football fan was like feeling really awful about it, to be fair. Yeah, you're right. It's one of the worst things that's happened in football in many, many years. Yeah,
I mean, I think, obviously I'm not comparing it with Hillsborough or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it was a shocking, and I think that was it, the shock of a multi-millionaire, a billionaire flying up in the air, and his helicopter just crashing like a car kind of thing. It was terrible. So
yeah, horrible. I know as well. At one point, didn't you meet Jamie Vardy? I managed to present him with the Player of the Month award. What was that like? I bet that was a crazy experience.
That was the year when my life really went stupid because Elliot, who he looks after me kind of thing, and he went through my emails and he just went into the spam folder for some reason. Don't know why he went in the spam folder, and got a message from EA Sports saying, "Would you like to present Jamie Vardy with his Player of the Month award?" And like, what a stupid question that is.
Yeah, of course.
So I went down and met him at the training ground in Leicester and presented him with his trophy. And it was, I feel a bit of a fraud as such because the way my life has taken me, with my debt, I had to stop going to Leicester. You have to prioritise what you spend your money on. And there's bigger and better Leicester fans out there than me who really should have been presenting that trophy. But hey ho, there you go.
Yeah, you're certainly not going to turn down an opportunity like that. Did you
way.
get to chat to him a little bit? What was he like in person? Because I know.
Do you know what? He was just like one of the lads. He wasn't big-headed. Um, he was just like, he come up to me, all right, big man, how are you? Thanks for doing this. And, just a decent bloke. They were trying to, the bloke, it was EA Sports FIFA World Cup or FIFA something or other. And the bloke says to Jamie, do you play it? Do you play FIFA? And he says, why? Why do I want to play it? He says, well, do you play it? It's like a popular. He says, I play football for a living. I actually play it. Why would I want to play this? I looked at the lad who asked him the question and I went, he's got a point, isn't he? And he went, yeah, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I imagine if I was playing football all day, I wouldn't want to come home and play fake football.
I think it's always nice to find out though that there are people in these positions of fame and fortune that are still down to earth and very level headed and haven't let it all go to the head and they've become pompous and such.
Yeah, I met him for 20 minutes, and he wasn't big headed. He wasn't up himself. He wasn't I'm the big am. He was just one of the lads kind of thing. And that was really good, because he could have been big-headed. He could have been, and let's face it, he's got every reason to be big-headed, but he wasn't. He was just a real decent chap. So,
no, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. I know you said you've not watched Leicester much this season, so feel free. We can skip this question if you want.
I've watched some of it. I think the defending's been absolutely atrocious. I don't know what the hell's gone on. That's if you wanted to ask me anything about Leicester.
Yeah, no, I was actually I had a few questions really, but I think the main one for me, as a football fan, when I've looked at Leicester and they've kind of fallen apart a fair bit this season, in my opinion, where they're going to end up finishing in the table. And I was just wondering, what do you think of Brendan Rodgers? Do you think you should keep him on, or is it about time for him to go?
Well, I found out the other day he's on £10 million a year.
Jesus Christ, yeah, that's astronomical.
Now, he's not a £10 million a year manager at the moment. Now, I will say we brought in Patterson Daka, and I was hoping for big things off him. He's not hit the ground running. Yes, he's done it in Europe. No, he's not done it in the Premier League, really. Jamie Vardy in his first year, although he was only £1 million, he had to acclimatise to the Premier League. So perhaps Daka's got to take a year, 18 months to get ready. I think I can't remember how much we paid for him, but I know it was a stupid amount of money. He should be ready. Johnny Evans has been injured. We've certainly missed him. Vardy's been injured. I don't think Maddison's been doing the job again. 1 minute he'll play brilliantly, outstanding, should be in the England squad. Then the next week, he just doesn't do it. He's too inconsistent. We have had quite a few injuries. It's knocked the team a bit. And I'm hoping that we can get some decent signings over the summer. And don't do this thing about signing people the third week into the season and stuff. I want them signed at the beginning of the season. I want them gone away for training, gone away on holiday, get back for training and get this bloody defending sorted, because the amount of goals that we've conceded in bloody corners and set pieces is just downright embarrassing. It's probably about 20 points. We could have been challenging for the Premier League, the Champions League.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I know what you mean as well about Maddison. I feel like he is one of those players that's very hot and cold. In fact, whenever I've watched Leicester games this season, I know Vardy's been out a lot of the season, which is kind of concerning considering he's still the top scorer as well. With 10 goals, and he's been injured for half the season. But I've noticed Harvey Barnes seems to be kicking on and doing quite well this year.
Yes, he's filling out as well, isn't he? He's actually getting the upper body strength to push people off. He's quick. He can read the game. He wraps his foot around the ball and can bend it in. Yeah, Harvey Barnes is, brilliant. And Dewsbury Hall, I think it amazes me that you can go and spend 20, 30, 40 million pounds on a player and you've got one sitting in your racks playing at Luton.
Yeah, it is a little bit strange. But to be fair, given this season at Leeds, we're probably going to get relegated now. I feel like this is probably a good time to talk about this, actually, just in general, because I'm not going to do a whole podcast on my own team getting relegated because I don't want that type of anger going out on the channel. But from a Leeds point of view, we were in a position in January where we knew that our three most expensive and most valuable players were all injured and we didn't sign anyone. I think we signed Dan James when we actually already had three wingers. Mm-hmm. Which was
I couldn't understand I used to do a thing called BVM Talks the Championship.
Yeah.
And one of them was a Leeds fan. So when Leeds went up to the Premier League, I'd got one who was a Forest fan and one who was a Derby fan, and it just didn't seem to knit quite well. Plus, obviously, with the COVID restrictions, you couldn't go around and meet anybody. And I couldn't work that out because I sent him a message and I said, like, what's going on? Why ain't Leeds signed anybody? And he was like going absolutely up the wall about it. I don't know. I don't know why they haven't signed anybody.
Yeah, as a Leeds fan, it was pretty insulting, to be fair. I think that my problem with Leeds at the minute is as well, like, we're seen as a very big club and we always sell out the ground every single game. We have like the 4th or 5th highest. No, well, we're in the top 10 shirt sales in the Premier League. We're probably not higher than any of the top 6, to be fair. But we just haven't seemed to invest in that Premier League squad. And it also led to Bielsa getting sacked.
Yeah.
But that was purely because we didn't buy any players. Bamford was injured. Phillips was injured. We knew that. And we just decided not to sign anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand it because Leeds have been like pretty much how Leicester were. You know, you went down to Division 1, you come up, down, and then getting on the brink of, you know, the thing with the Villa game and throwing the ball back and letting them score a goal and all that shit. And then it's like you've had 2 years and it's like Leeds, the money men up there have gone, oh, well, there we go, let's go back down to the Championship. Parachute payments will be all right. And he's thinking, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to what you were saying about Leicester having such good owners and the fact that you appreciate them. Like, I think the Leeds owners did a fantastic job of getting us up, but didn't really think long term. And the problem is Bielsa was getting great football out of realistically championship level footballers. Mm-hmm. So now that he's gone, the new guy's actually done all right. I think he's pretty decent. But if we somehow manage to stay up, which is like very, very unlikely at this point, then I feel like we'd actually need to spend a huge amount of money in the summer to have any chance of staying up again next season.
Yeah, I suppose the thing is when you're in the Championship, you can just get Premier League players on loan, can't you?
A lot of them, the problem is because like Leeds is quite far up north. Like a lot of players that are in London, because like especially Chelsea send a lot of players out on loan, Arsenal, etc. Like they just won't come up to Leeds. They'll go on loan to Luton or QPR or Fulham when they're in the Championship because they can just stay in London then and they don't have to like move up north and stuff. But my main concern if we do go down is the fact that a lot of our individual players will move on, like Bamford, Phillips, Rafinha, Llorente, Koch, our keeper, will probably lose like 10 first-team players because they're all slightly better than Championship, but probably not like doing well in the Premier League. But they'll just go back to Germany and Spain and France and stuff.
Yeah, I feel quite sorry for Leeds because I like Leeds. I've got a mate, Neil, and he's a Leeds fan who lives in the village. And, you know, it was great to see him smiling and dancing when they were coming up. And he's like, he just can't believe it.
The day we got promoted.
I like Leeds. I went up Leeds once with my mate. And the lad who I do the podcast with, the two black lads, I went up there with one of them. And he loves it. He's a Leeds fan. And he's gutted. He drives a lorry and he's going, oh, Dave, Leeds are lost again, mate.
Yeah, it is very depressing for sure. So I thought we'd switch it up, maybe a couple little quick fire, like fun YouTube style questions. Just wondered what's, out of all the reviews you've done, is there any that have like stood out to you? Like you've got a product, it could be food, it could be a product in itself, as actually like amazing. Like you weren't expecting it to be too good and then it was really good in the end.
One of the, in fact, me and the wife were watching it the other night. Have you seen these veneers that people are buying where it's like a gum shield? You bite onto this thing, you fit it around your teeth, and then you stick these veneers to it. Mm-hmm. And it gives you a pearly white smile. I mean, I think for 54, for 53, I don't think my teeth are that bad. So anyway, I tried this thing, and I just look like Austin Powers. So if you look at my veneers video, I was expecting great things, and it was rubbish. So that is probably one that sticks in my mind.
Yeah. Is there any of the opposite way around then that are really good that you expected to be rubbish?
I don't honestly. Do you know what, mate? I can't remember. Like people will come up to me and they'll say, I love that video. And I'm thinking, what video is that? I think I've done about 1,500 videos now.
Bloody hell. Quite the catalogue.
I don't know.
Then.
I think if you're talking like that, I think if you've done about videos that I'm proud of, I think my 35k deck video is the one that I'm the most proud of. So
Yeah, I know there's lots of positive feedback on there, and I think you've spoken in the past as well, saying you've received some messages and stuff about that helping people, which is it's just something really good to promote on your own platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I know as well, I actually really enjoyed, you did a review of the Bud Light a few weeks ago. And I know you really weren't a fan of that, but it entertained me at least.
It was awful. Absolute awful, mate. I can't believe you associated yourself with it.
No, it's funny. It's funny. I've actually just put for the weekend. I've just got a cider in for the first time. I'm trying that. I know you were quite a big
that
fan
Orchard
of that.
Pig.
Yeah.
Oh, that is. Do you know what? That is really, really good. Really good for your first cider that you lot have done. I don't think you could beat it. It is really, really good.
Yeah, I'm excited to try it. In general, what's your favorite like beer or lager? Do you have one, or is it just like a bit more general?
I'm a funny old boy. I like a cider in the summer and I like a Guinness in the winter, but I'll also drink a lot of lagers. So,
do you ever find yourself? Oh no, go on. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, mate. I've just started drinking Madrid. They've actually got it in our working men's club.
And, that's the new craze, isn't it? I've not tried it yet. Everyone's loving it.
No, I haven't gotten to it yet.
I tell you what it is. It's just a no frills, simple lager, and I think that's what people like. It's like your Stella Unfiltered. That is absolute. You've done well to get that, mate. That is
it's class. That. Yeah, it's really good.
Cakes of that, really, really good.
What were you going to ask? Sorry,
no, I was going to say, do you ever find yourself drinking any spirits or any other forms of alcohol, or is it mainly just your beers and your lagers that you stick to?
I'll drink anything, mate. I'll drink anything. Yeah. When I was a youngster, when I was 18, 19, we used to go around the village and we'd start at something like 5 PM, and then we'd just go around, and then we'd always get to our last pub at 10 to 11, and I'd get a glass and I'd say, one of them, and I'd stick a baby sham in it and a blue Caracas, and I'd just drink that as my last drink. So I'll drink anything, mate.
What name would you give that drink?
It's not clever, but I was fortunate with the fact that when I was brought up as a kid, we used to go to another working men's club in Colville, which was a mining place, and my uncles would but they'd make me drink a beer at the age of 10, 11, 12. And like, they'd say, you drink this now and you'll get used to it when you're 18. And fortunately, it was good. I'm not saying do it, but they did acclimatise me gradually to drinking beer. And the worst thing you do is when you're 18 is come out, get absolutely hammered, lose all control of yourself and get lost.
Yeah, that does happen quite regularly. Tim, I know you were going to ask, do you know that drink that you'd created, that you concocted? Was there a nickname for that by any chance? I know I hear things in Leeds where people they'll have loads of mixed drinks together and they've come up with a weird nickname for it. Or did you just say, I'll have a bit of that and then
it was never the same every weekend. As long as it had a baby sham and a blue Caracas in it at the end, I was okay. But it'd probably be like a whiskey or a gin or whatever. And it was never the same every week. So...
Yeah, that sounds like a dangerous game for sure.
The Dave special.
Yeah, the Dave special. I know you've travelled around the UK a fair bit as well in recent months, particularly, and tried a fair different places and stuff. Where's some of the maybe hidden gems in the UK, some beautiful spots or some cities that people wouldn't think to go to that maybe you've been to and thought were actually really nice and worth a visit?
We went a few years ago. We went to Framlingham. Saxmundham, I can't remember if that's Saxmundham, where Ed Sheeran's from.
Right.
You know that castle on the hill that he sings about? Well, that is Framlingham Castle. And my daughter says, you do know this is where Ed Sheeran sings? I went, no. She goes, yeah. So anyway, if you want to go somewhere that's not really known about, just go to Framlingham Castle. It is an absolute delightful little area around there. These windmills and decent little pubs. It's brilliant.
No, that sounds beautiful. Have you still got the camper? I know you did one of them up at one point.
We have still got the camper, but I'm looking to sell it because I've got something else, like I said at the start of the video. there is something else happening in my life, and I can't really spend any time on the camper. We ain't going to get a go away in it. So we are actually looking to sell it soon, which is a shame, really, because we never got the full potential out of it, apart from this brand deal.
Yeah,
my
true.
mate borrowed it. He went up to Scotland in it, and the leaf springs broke. So he's come all the way back from Scotland on the back of a lorry.
Oh, nice one. Nice
Not what
one.
you need.
Yeah, that's super unlucky. Anyway, I think we can probably about wrap this up unless you have anything else to ask, Tim.
Good.
No, well, thank you so much for joining, Dave. Massively appreciate it. Yeah, I'm sure we'll speak again at some point soon.
Thank you
Yes,
very
mate.
much.
If you want to do this again, just ask, mate. I'm always happy to help you, mate. You've helped me out, so I'll help you out.
Yeah, for sure. I'm 100% we will at some point.